Like a lot of awful survival situations, I'm on my own this time, but this is a retreat to Eden where it's a little bit nicer of a survival scenario than we're normally used to. Now, this is a survival game. Predominantly, it is a first person exploration kind of game. You awaken out of this kind of sleep in what looks like a technological igloo. It becomes apparent that you are stuck in this area. It looks just like an island. It's quite beautiful, actually, but you are alone and you have to make the best of what could be a fatal situation. Let's start off with some of the positives. The things I really enjoyed when I first got into this game is the look of it. Overall, it looks quite nice. It's not the highest textures that you would, maybe see in other kind of games, but it's not necessary in this game, and it doesn't waste any time trying to look that pretty for you. Another thing that I really appreciated was that it's not always so easy. You have to just kind of take your chances drinking out of puddles, and sometimes that will give you an affliction. You can get botulism and the like just by having awful food. Just keeping yourself alive is hard enough to do, but if you happen across some hostile creatures, that makes it infinitely harder. There's snakes that'll coil up, and they're very hard to see until you're right on top of them. You get that little bite, and now you're poisoned. You have to now find a way to replenish your health bar. What puts this game unique in its own right, you have to kind of worry about your mental stability. And that does make sense if you think about it. How long do you think you'll last trapped on an island before you start going crazy? When it comes to cooking food, I actually really like what happens in this game. It's not just a matter of picking mushrooms, picking fruit off the trees. You can do that, and I recommend it, but you will eventually get the ability to hunt different creatures. When you level up yourself, I can create a spear. And that spear, well, I'm pretty fast. I can chase down wild boar, turkeys, things like that. But, well, that's not always good enough. Sometimes you need a bow and arrow. You will unlock that later on. It makes a lot more sense to me. Now, bunnies are back on the menu. You can make traps. So there's both a passive and an active kind of role you can play in your own survival. Your main objective while you look around the island is to find runes from the past civilization, perhaps whoever set up these little orbs for meditation purposes or otherwise. These runes are now abandoned, and you're trying to pick the pieces up and see what happened here, and more importantly, find a way out. Get back to civilization. That comes around to the negatives of this game. There are some issues that are really holding it back. First and foremost, I think this would be really, really fun to play with a co-op partner. And I'm not sure if that's going to be added in an update later on down the line, but playing this solo, well, it gets to be quite a lonely island. But that's not the worst part. I think what's worse than that has to be the leveling system. I'm trying to progress through my tech tree and get smarter, faster, better, stronger, but it requires finding more runes to be able to level up. It's not a matter of experience. I can't hunt my way up to level 3. I need to find 2 more runes, and that will level me up as a result. Now that can get a little stale when you're walking around this island again and again and again and cannot find another rune. I would have liked to see more of a storyline to this game. I really don't know much about what my character is doing there, who I am, what this island is, and where am I going when I eventually find my way out of here. It all seems quite meaningless. There's not much motivation other than, don't starve to death. I suppose that's the only motivation I need, but I wish there was a little bit more of a narrative. My worst observation about this game was that the environment, although it looks great when you get in, it does get stale awfully quickly. I've run around this little island a million times. Although I would love to retreat to Enen, this has been a bit of a good, a bad, and a little bit of the ugly experience for me. The good would be that this is a great premise. It really does work on the surface. The different mechanics involved in building, crafting, environment kind of exploration, that all works really well. I would have liked to see co-op. That would be a big deal to me because even a bad game can be fun with another good player if you're in the good spirits. But there is a lot to this game that I feel like I didn't get into because the tech tree is just so stunted. Unless I go to the next area, it's really hard to make much out of it. But it just is missing some sort of a motivation, some sort of a higher story. And that unfortunately leaves me with about a 7 out of 10. This is a competent game, but it leaves a little bit to be desired.
Inherited a wisdom and knowledge. Now, as a rite of passage, each member of this society